Well, joining me now, attorney Emily Compagno and radio talk show host on New York's WOR, Mark Simone. Good to have you both here. Emily, let's start with Judge Roy Moore, the president, not endorsing him, but also saying the man has denied the allegations straight up. Your thoughts on the equity of it all?
Right. I think people are used to the president at this point being very forthcoming with his opinion. And so I do believe that it's raising a lot of eyebrows here as he's chosen to stay silent, or that he's towed the line, right? And he hasn't been consistent. And I think especially in the present climate, what we need is consistency here, because on both sides of the aisle, we're seeing a lot of claims. And granted, they are claims until proven, but with a lot of these historical allegations, it's impossible to prove. And it behooves moving forward these elected officials to have a culture and maintain a culture of believing the victims first.
Believing the victims first, and they're entitled to be believed. Are the alleged perpetrators supposed to be believed, Emily? I mean, it's a very difficult thing to do, is to have a he said, she said, irrespective of the pattern or the cumulative weight of it all. People will make their decisions about who they believe, who they find most credible, right?
Absolutely. And that's part of the difficulty that I absolutely acknowledge. And I think the spectrum, that's why it is so difficult. But I do believe that the knee-jerk reaction of until there is specific proof, we have to believe the defense, that's caused in part the pervasive pattern and the troublesome pattern that we're seeing throughout the industries, including the Hill and the Senate, which has created even more, for example, of our coffers. You
know, Mark, we had Speaker Ryan come out and say he believes that the women in the Roy Moore case are more credible, are the credible voices. You know, I'm not even sure why the speaker was inserting himself into that, but at the same time, you had a president saying first that the people of Alabama should make the decision, and he's not endorsed Roy Moore, but he's saying that he also asserting that Roy Moore has denied the allegation.
I don't know what to think here, because I really don't know, but I've always found it's a good idea to use Paul Ryan as a reverse barometer of what to think. I usually come out all right. So.
Well, you know, our experience hasn't varied too much.
Yeah, and you always want to sympathize with the victim if they are indeed a victim. We don't know that. Absolutely. It's so many years ago.
Yeah, it is so many years ago, and now we've got Conyers with two women now making claims against him, Emily. We find out there's a secret slush fund in the Congress and the Senate that $17 million of taxpayer money spent. How outrageous, how more outrageous can the Congress be than to create a fund to protect themselves at taxpayer expense from public knowledge of their misdeeds?
This is absolutely enraging to me, and in part because as a federal attorney for so many years, I was conscious that every single dollar of my salary and that I used was not mine. It was taxpayers. Those people are stewards of the taxpayer money. So the fact that it's being used
are you talking about Congress and the Senate? Are you talking about Ryan and McConnell? Really?
But yes, and the thing that's so troublesome to me, I will say this, that viewers need to understand, the fact that there is no transparency into that slush fund or that process at all is what is frankly the cherry on top. So not only have millions of dollars of our taxpayer money gone to settling these harassment suits, but we have no visibility into it. And that is why the Ethics Committee probe is crucial. We need to understand what standards they can levy.
I do want to add one thing to this. Earlier in the broadcast, Congressman Ron DeSantis announced that he is going to put forward a bill next week to make sure it is transparent. Not only that there will be transparency, but any money that was taken, taxpayer money, and used to make good these claims will be refunded by and paid for by the person who was involved in the sexual harassment or whatever the misdeed.
Yeah, and if they can spend $12 billion on a bridge that should have been $800,000, I'm not going to worry about the slush fund that much. But, you know, they've got these rules. If you want to complain, you've got to wait 30 days. You've got to go through counseling for 30 days. They delay you for 90 days before you can file your complaint. They've got these rules in Congress. And the Senate Ethics...
You know, they got another rule, too. In addition to continuing the offense against women with those rules and in demanding that the perpetrator be kept secret and taxpayer money used to provide that. They also would insist, without any hesitation at all, that we just go about our business and just take another lesson in sexual harassment. I don't know how many of the Congress and the Senate showed up for those lessons.
Yeah, and
we'll find out. We're going to have to jump. Emily, thank you so much. Mark, thank you. Thank you for being with us tonight.